Complementizers. What are these? I think that you may be right. I doubt if you can help me. I'm anxious for you to receive the best treatment possible. So, all these bracketed clauses are complements or complement clauses. They are complement to the word before them, the preceding word. For example, in the first case, it is think. In the second case, it is doubt. In the third sentence, it is anxious. So, all these three complement clauses are describing the words before them. So they are, as I said, called complement clauses. And the word that introduce these complement clauses in the A sentence is that, in the B sentence is if, and in the C sentence is for, are called complementizers. Right? So complementizers are functors in the same sense that they encode particular set of grammatical properties. So they have certain grammatical properties. They complete the meaning. They complete the meaning of the word preceding them. If they are not introduced, the sentence remains somehow incomplete. Complementizer encode whether they are finite or infinite. Another thing that they do is that they tell us whether the sentence is finite, restricted to time, time bound, refers to a certain time, or it does not refer to a certain time. So that is one of the main differences among the complementizers. For example, let's take examples of sentences, the same sentences. I think that you may be right. So we have the complementizer that, which is inherently finite in the sense that it can only be used to introduce a finite clause that is restricted to time, present or past. That introduces a declarative clause. It means that whenever it comes, it introduces a sentence that has a declarative force. And third, that is a finite declarative complementizer. Similarly, when we come on to if is the inherent infinite in the sense that it can only be used to introduce a finite clause. If introduces an interrogative clause or which has a force of a question, if is a finite interrogative complementizer. Similarly, for in the C sentence is infinitival complementizer, and so can be used to introduce a clause containing infinitival to. For introduces an irreligious clause, one relating to a hypothetical event. An irreligious clause introducing any clause which is hypothetical, which does not have a force of a declarative or a fact or a statement. It may or may not happen. And for is so an infinitival irreligious complementizer. Using the set of syntactic categories outlined above, we can employ the traditional label bracketing technique to categorize words in a way which describes how they are used in a particular sentence. For example, the president is clearly feeling angry that Congress has refused to negotiate with him. This sentence can be put with the help of grammatical category. We get it. The is determiner, president is noun, T is time marker, adv is adverb, V is feeling, feeling is verb, A is adjective, C is complementizer, and it introduces a finite clause, and has is time marker, refuse is verb, to is infinital, and it's also a time marker, V is verb, negotiate is a verb, with is a preposition, and him is a pronoun. So this is how we, by using grammatical categories, we can tell each component, each word, of our sentence used. Grammatical differences between individual words belonging to the same category are traditionally described in terms of sets of grammatical features. For example, if we have two nouns, we tell them, we'll show them with N, telling them that both are nouns. For example, she invited us to dinner. So if you look at this, we have two pronouns, she and us. So both are pronoun and we can explain them, we can narrate them. She carries the feature because they have the following feature. We can say that she is a third person singular number, feminine gender and nominative case. So we can tell these properties of the pronoun she. Similarly, us, it has the properties or feature first person, plural number, accusative case. So these are few of the properties that we tell about the pronoun that we use, and similarly about other words that we use in a sentence. Traditional grammarians are also concerned to describe the grammatical function. For example, John laughs. We can say that John is an entity and laugh is a predicator. Similarly, we go on sentences like this: the president laughs, the president of Utopia laughs, the former president of the island paradise of Utopia laughs. So this is the way we explain different sentences. So for example, let's take the same. John reads novels. So we can say that John is subject, reads is verb, and novels is complement, which is in this case, in the case of this sentence, is direct object. So complement novels describe the entity on which the act of reading is being performed. John reads English novels. So again, we have English novel as complement, direct object. A verb which has a noun or pronoun expression as its direct object complement is traditionally said to be a transitive. It is another feature or other property of the verb. Similarly, John reads English novels imported from England. From a semantic perspective, subject and complements generally represent entities directly involved in the particular action or event described by the predicator. Our verb is the predicator. So we have the entities John, English novels, and England. So they are all entities. So we have the predicator verb. Similarly, you can see the next sentences. Let's now look at another sentence. A predicate may have one or more than one argument that we just described. Entities mean argument. So in this sentence, John resigned, we have one predicate and one argument. So it is one place predicate. John felt remorse. It has two arguments. So it is two place predicate. John sent Mary flowers. So it has three arguments. So it is a three place predicate. So in addition to predicates and arguments, sentences can also contain adjuncts, as we can illustrate in relation to below. The president reads a novel after dinner. So if you look at this, the predicate is reads and the argument is president and novel, but we have something more, after dinner. Similarly, the president reads a novel in his office. The sentence, the predicate reads as president and novel, but it has something more, in his office. So after dinner and in his office serve to provide additional information and are both adjuncts. We also find complex sentences which contains more than one clause. Mary knows John reads. And similarly, the press clearly thinks the president deliberately lied to Congress. So in these both sentences, we have more than one clause, both finite clauses. So we get a sentence or a clause which may have finite or non-finite verbs. However, there are certain complementizer which introduce either a finite clause or a non-finite clause, like that and if, which introduce a finite clause, and for which introduces a non-finite clause. So in a sentence we say that the verb is for us a predicate, and the nouns are subject and object, which are generally, we introduce them as events, as entities, are arguments. So a sentence may sometimes have a single argument or two arguments. So one place argument, two place argument, etc. This is how we introduce them. And beside the argument and the predicator, a sentence may have adjuncts as well. And beside this, a sentence may have one or more than one clauses.